Greetings, travelers. Welcome and welcome back to my channel. Today is an exciting one. It's one that I didn't think I was gonna do, but I ended up caving because of the Sephora sale, and I bought the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. Ugh. Okay. This is such a beautiful palette. I did not expect to like it as much as I ended up liking it. When I first saw it, I was like, ugh, what is this? There's so many ashy tones in there, and like at least 3 or 4 of the different colors look exactly the same. Like there's no point in buying this because it's just like another meh kind of samey palette. And then I bought it and I started using it. And first of all, it's just like appreciate how freaking beautiful this packaging is. Like holy crap, is this the most beautiful eyeshadow palette you've ever seen or what? Because it's definitely the most beautiful eyeshadow palette I have ever seen, just packaging wise. It's just absolutely stunning. The actual palette looks a lot nicer in person than it did in the promo photos that was shown on Treadmood. There's a lot more variety to the palette. There's not as many like samey tones to it. There's actually quite a lot that you can do, and you'll see in my 3 looks video that each look looks completely different from one another, and you can go super dark like the look that I went with today. Yeah, just overall very impressed with this palette, more than I thought that I would be. I'll throw some swatches up just so you can see exactly what all of the tones look like in here. I think what I was most surprised by, especially when using the pink tones, is because those were the tones that I was worried were all gonna kind of look the same on the eyes. Like when you blended them out, they would all just look exactly the same. They don't. Like they look different. There's actually like depth and tone difference to a lot of the pink tones in there. Like the two, hold on, this is actually a bit hard to open. Let's just say that right out the gate. But the 2 pink shades in here, I really don't want to like drop this. This shade Cherished and this shade Happiness, I thought were gonna basically look exactly the same on the eye. First off, I thought that Cherished was not even gonna show up at all. I thought that it was just gonna be a piddly squirt of nothing, and then it was just gonna blend away into powder, and then it wouldn't show up at all. It really does show up. Like it does show up on the eye. And the same thing with Happiness. Like it's super pigmented and just shows up like nothing else. It is a beautiful, beautiful palette. If you're worried about this not performing, if you're worried about all the shades looking the same, it doesn't. Like you really just get a difference between all of these shades. Even between the brown shades, they look different. You get quite a lot out of this. Dare I say, this is probably my favorite Huda palette that I have. I do only have 3. I have the New Nudes, the Naughty Nudes, and now this one. This is my favorite of all 3. It's just so magical, and I feel like a pretty fairy unicorn. Unicorn fairy? Fairy unicorn? Either or, interchangeable. I feel like I did use most of the shades in this palette for my 3 looks. So I got like a good idea of what you can do with this palette. I think the only shades I didn't end up using are Quartz, Precious. I don't know if I used Energize or not. No, I did use Energize. Yeah, I didn't use Quartz, I didn't use Precious, I didn't use Radiate, and I didn't use Self-Love. So 4 out of the 18 shades in here I didn't actually use. I tried to like use as many of them as possible in the looks just to get a full breadth of the possibilities of this palette, and I was very impressed with what I ended up with. I love this palette so much. It's really worth it. The quality is 100% there. The packaging is 100% there. Just the versatility is there. It's just everything I could have wanted out of this holiday release I got completely unexpectedly. I did not think I was going to like this as much as I do, but I love it. I love it. It's my favorite Huda palette so far that I've tried. And again, I only have 3 of them. Oh, and I also didn't use this weird shade Lovestone. On the back though, it actually tells you how to use it. It says, for a soft pearlescent glow, apply the Pearl Gloss Hybrid to your bare lids using your finger or a flat brush. So there is some clarification on that shade. You're apparently supposed to use it on a bare eyelid, not on top of your other eyeshadows. I've seen a couple of people use it on eyeshadows and they say that it kind of picks up the stuff underneath, which is not surprising. So I'm gonna give that a shot one of these days, and I'll post something on Instagram about it probably, or I'll update the video description below on how that showed up. Because my like biggest worry about that shade is like I'm gonna put it on and then for the rest of the day my eyelid is gonna like stick to itself, and like it's gonna be really hard to close my eyes, and it's like, it's my freaking nightmare. So I'll give a little update once I've used it, either on Instagram or in the description of this video, so stay tuned for that. But yes, without further ado, let's get into the 3 looks. First, I'm taking the shade Gratitude, and just using windshield wiping motions, I'm putting that all throughout the crease and the outer corner of my eyelid. I'm taking that up and out towards the brow bone as well. Next, with the shade Aura, I'm going to go in and darken it up a little bit with a smaller blending brush and press that closer in towards the crease. I'm not blowing this out as much as I did with Gratitude, but I just want to darken it up and add a little bit more depth into the crease with this shade. I'm going to go back to the bottom lash line and take the shade Gratitude again on that big fluffy brush, and then just place that all along the lower lash line. Then with the shade Aura on that same smaller blending brush that we use on the upper lid space, we're taking it into the bottom lash line just in the outer corner. Next, just on a finger, I'm taking the shade Abundance, and I'm placing that all over my lid space. Then I'm going to take the shade Energized and place that just in the center of my eyelid, kind of trying to create a bit of a halo eye just with that brighter shimmer. Next, because I just kind of wanted to add some more variation to the look, I'm taking the shade Moon Magic into the inner corner just on my pinky. I'm taking that a little bit in the inner corner of my bottom lash line as well, and then I'm going to take it up and onto the brow bone just to really kind of add that purple shimmeriness to this otherwise rosy neutral look. And that is look number 1 completed. For the second look, I really wanted to focus on the pink side of the palette, so I went in first with the shade Cherished, and I'm focusing that in the inner and outer portion of my eyelid, and then connecting those two through the crease, just using a big fluffy brush. I did basically the same thing on my lower lash line. I took the shade Cherished on that big fluffy brush, and I threw that just all along my lower lash line. Next, I went in with the shade Happiness just to deepen out that pink a little bit more. But basically, in all of the same places that we put Cherished, we're going to put Happiness. Then I took that same shade Happiness along my lower lash line, just in the outer corner. Then just to try and deepen it out a little bit more, and just to try and like use more of the palette, I took the shade Serenity, just with a smaller fluffy brush, and I focused that into the inner and outer corners. I didn't end up taking this further into the crease. I just focused it in the inner and outer corners of my eyelid. Next, just going into the shimmers, I took the shade Joy, which is this bright pink, and I patted that with a finger basically all over my eyelid. Next, using the shade Blissful, I patted that onto my finger and put that in the center of my eyelid, just creating a nice little halo eye. This one is super flaky and a lot of fallout, a lot of fallout with this shade. Doing what I did on the top with the shade Blissful, just on a smaller pencil brush, and placed that in the center of my lower lash line. Then I took some of that shade Joy in the inner and outer portion of my lower lash line as well. Then on my pinky finger, I took some of that Moon Magic because I absolutely love this shade. It's so magical. It really is moon magic. I took that into the inner corner as a highlight. Then because I really wanted to kind of blow out that lower lash line a little bit more, on that big fluffy brush again, I took the shade Happiness and brought that all along my lower lash line, and I really pushed that out a little bit more. And there you go, that's the second look completed. I finished off the look with some white eyeliner. I really thought that it added that kind of ethereal, magical unicorn look to the eyeshadow. So for the third look, I started off with the shade Mantra. It's this deep, dark, plummy purple shade, and I focused that in the outer corner of my eyelid and in the crease. I didn't take it all the way across the eye, I focused it definitely in the outer portion of my eyelid. Then to kind of blend out those edges a bit, I took the shade Aura on a bigger fluffy brush, and just along the edges of where I put Mantra, I blended that out and buffed it out towards the brow bone. Again, we're keeping this in the outer portion of the eyelid. I'm not taking it in too far. Then to blend that out even more and really bring out that purple, I'm taking the shade Happiness and just out of the edges of what we've already done, blending that on a big fluffy brush outwards, even more towards the brow bone. We really want that pink to blend into that purple and like make those colors pop with a really beautiful gradient. On an angled liner brush, I'm taking that shade Mantra as well and putting that in the outer corner of my bottom lash line. Then with a small fluffy brush, I'm going in and blending that out. I'm going to do the same thing on the same brush with the shade Aura and blend out the edges of that Mantra on the bottom lash line. And then with that big fluffy brush, I'm taking the shade Happiness again and blending that even further out. Basically the same thing that I did on the upper lid space, I'm doing on the bottom lash line as well. Then I'm going to take the shade Cherished and all across the inner portion of my eyelid, I'm going to place that with a small pencil brush. I really want that pink to pop, so don't worry about layering this. I'm bringing it into the inner corner and down along the inner portion of my bottom lash line. Then going into the shimmers, I'm going to take the shade Empowered and place that over top of where we put Mantra, just in the outer portion of the eyelid. I'm bringing that in a little bit towards the center just to create that base for the gradient. Then I'm going to take the shade Cosmic Love and place that over top of where we put Empowered. I'm bringing that in a little bit more towards the center of the eyelid as well. Then finally, I'm going to take the shade Moon Magic, this beautiful, beautiful shimmer, and I'm placing that pretty much all over the eyelid. Then going into the inner corner, over where we put Cherished, I'm putting more of that Moon Magic just to really highlight that inner corner. Then I'm going to go back into Empowered and just in the outer portion of my bottom lash line, I'm going to place that with a small pencil brush. Using the shade Cherished on that small pencil brush, I'm placing a little bit of that on the brow bone just to kind of highlight it a little bit and bring some bright color to the brow bone. and then just putting Moon Magic over top of that to really make it pop and shine. And that is the third look completed. I really feel like a beautiful fairy princess in this look. I love how dark it ended up being. This is probably my favorite look of the three. It's just so beautiful and just really shows how dark you can go with this palette. And there you go, those are my 3 looks using the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. I really hope that you enjoyed them and I hope that it gave you some inspiration. Yeah, just to reiterate my initial thoughts, I absolutely love this palette. I thought that it was way more versatile than I initially gave it credit for. I love all 3 of the looks that I came out with. You can get something super neutral out of this. You can go super pinky, bubblegum princess vibes, or you can go like dark sultry the way that I did today, add even more darkness to it if you want to, make it super, super dark. Yeah, I really love this palette. It is my favorite one of all of Huda's palettes so far, color story wise, and the favorite one to use of all the 3 that I have so far. This is not a cheap palette. It retails for 87 Canadian dollars. I'm not sure how much it is in US, but in Canada it is $87. I think it's worth it. I got it on sale though. I got it in the VIB sale at Sephora. Absolutely beautiful. The packaging is gorgeous. The palette itself, the color story is gorgeous, and using it, it's super blendable. I didn't have any problems with it. There's a lot of fallout. There's a ton of freaking fallout with the sparkles. Use like a glitter glue or something. I don't use glitter glue. I just deal with the sparkles on my face, but there's a ton of fallout. So if you don't like glitter fallout, that might be like the one negative to this palette. Like for the past 3 days, I've been walking around with sparkles literally all over my face and my boyfriend refuses to kiss me. So yeah, it's very sparkly, but I kind of love it. I just kind of leaned into it and added like some really sparkly highlighter all over my cheeks. A really good highlighter to pair with this palette is the Kaleidos Moon Cruiser, because it's got that same like blue purpley shift that a lot of the sparkles in this palette has. So if you want a nice highlighter to pair with this, 100% would recommend that one. It is perfect for this palette. But yeah, that is pretty much it for my review today. I hope that it gave you some inspiration, or if you have any palettes that you think would dupe the vibes of this. The only one that I can think of that is kind of similar, that gave me similar vibes, is the In a Trance palette from ColourPop, even though that one doesn't go as deep as this one does. There's no like deep, dark, delicious shade in there, but especially the second look, the pink one, same vibes you can kind of get out of the In a Trance palette. So if you're getting this just for those like pinky, like bubblegum pinky tones, you might be okay with just the ColourPop In a Trance palette. But if you want something a little bit more versatile to be able to do a lot more, then I would definitely recommend this one. The In a Trance palette, like I liked it, but it wasn't this. It wasn't this. This is kind of what I was hoping the In a Trance palette would be, and that one I might just end up decluttering after this because this is everything that I wanted out of that palette, and that palette just didn't deliver. So yeah, if you want to dupe the vibes, you can try with that palette, but this one is just a leagues ahead of that. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you have this palette, if you like it, what you think of it. If you're gonna be picking it up during the Sephora VIB sale, you still have a few days left. It's on until the 15th. I definitely would keep this at like the top of the list of things that are worth getting. So yeah, let me just check that I got all my thoughts out about this palette. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Sparkly unicorn fairy vibes all around with this palette, and it's beautiful and I love it. It's everything that I wanted. Anyway, I hope you had fun with me today. Thank you for hanging out, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Live your sparkly unicorn fairy life.